Conservatives to take us back to the failed ideology of the past. Even Harper's advisor, Ben Perrin, thinks they're speaking nonsense. So just stop it and save lives.
Carolyn Bennett, the Liberal Minister for Health and Drugs, did something unexpected by attempting to mess with Poilievre, whom even Prime Minister Trudeau tends to avoid going head-to-head.
While the Prime Minister has sent inflation for gas, heat, and groceries soaring, there is one product that's actually come down in price: powerful opioids. The Prime Minister has spent $100 million on so-called safe supply. One Global News reporter went into the street to find out where all these drugs are going. Turns out they're being resold to other addicts in order to raise the money to buy deadly fentanyl.
The leader of the opposition is known for his speaking prowess and can easily shut down anyone in a debate. And what happens next will leave you stunned.
Mr. Speaker, we are pretty fed up with this fight against evidence-based programs that actually are saving lives. We cannot allow the Conservatives to take us back to the failed ideology of the past.
When Poilievre grilled the minister on the dirt-cheap drug prices and how easily kids could get their hands on them, she lost her cool, yelled at Poilievre, and slammed his ideology.
No common sense. The evidence is seen in the tragic faces of addicts who lie overdosed on the pavement.
In response to her outburst, Poilievre stayed composed and fired back, and once he started, there was no stopping him.
Will he stop giving dollars for drugs and instead follow my common sense plan to put the resources into treatment and recovery to bring our loved ones home drug-free?
Next up, Poilievre goes after the Liberals and stuns the House by demanding an end to the Safe Supply program, which has been nothing short of a disaster.
1 second. Order. 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 One person at a time in this chamber, please.
The argument throws the House into chaos, forcing the Speaker to step in. But it did not seem like the back-and-forth jabs would be ending anytime soon.
That member says that he will stop that. I want him to speak to the parents of the people that would have been lost if there weren't safe consumption sites and safer supply. This is ridiculous.
On the other hand, the minister had the realization that she was knee-deep in a mess. But little did she know that Poilievre wasn't done. He had plenty more up his sleeve yet.
The policies of this Prime Minister are killing them. His policies are flooding the streets with drugs that now go for $1 a hit. You can buy 26 hits of hydromorphine paid for by Canadian tax dollars under a program by this government that has led to a 300% increase in drug overdose deaths. Why won't they get some common sense, end dollars for drugs, and put our people in treatment?
Poilievre never misses a shot to roast Trudeau's policies, and there's no way he'd let this one slide, especially when the minister herself took a swing at him first.
People have to stay alive long enough to get to treatment. People are dying because of the toxic, tainted drug supply. When people are on safe supply, the CMAJ article yesterday talked about less drug use, less overdoses, less petty crime. This is an evidence-based project and program that it meets the test of evidence and science.
Completely thrown off and short of words, the Karens started scrambling to defend the policy that has categorically failed, and it does not bring any support to her either.
That minister and this Prime Minister are flooding the streets with dangerous drugs and killing these people. Since they brought in this policy, there has been a 300% increase in drug overdose deaths. 30,000 people have lost their lives. Investigative journalists have shown that the drugs that she is funding with Canadian tax dollars are flooding the streets and being sold for $1 a hit.
Order. Order.
Poilievre didn't hold back, going further to expose the skyrocketing death rates, and the minister could only watch him in disbelief.
The theory is that if you flood the streets with hydromorphine, an opioid, then people won't use more dangerous fentanyl. The reality
Okay, we want quiet on both sides.
The heated argument triggered an uproar in the House, with members on both sides shouting, forcing the Speaker to step in to restore order.
Mr. Speaker, some things are just beyond the pale. Our Minister of Mental Health is one of the most respected members of this House. Unlike the Leader of the Opposition, who is a career politician and has done nothing else, she is a doctor. She devoted much of her life to delivering babies and bringing forth life. I heard the Leader of the Opposition shout across the aisle, "You are killing them."
The Deputy Prime Minister stepped in to defend the minister, but it only fueled the already raging argument.
Member for Cumberland Colchester.
Mr. Speaker, it's utterly shocking that this Liberal government believes the only treatment for addicts in this country is palliative care. No other treatment required, just move straight to palliative care. Since this reckless plan using taxpayer dollars for high-potency drugs was introduced, 7 people a day, Mr. Speaker, 7 a day in January alone in BC have died. The overdose crisis cannot be fixed by giving people more drugs. It's only making it worse.
Dr. Stephen Ellis, the MP for Cumberland Colchester, came to Poilievre's aid, holding the minister responsible for the drug deaths.
Taking harm reduction out, we are now having to build back. And as Ben Perrin has said, rehashing conservative war on drug tropes that have since been discredited and have been found not to be only ineffective, but costly and deadly.
The honourable member for South Surrey White Rocks.
Caught in the middle of fiery questions, the Karen minister attempts to put the blame on the previous conservation government.
7 dying in BC a day alone. There is no time to wait. We need a common sense plan that saves lives. Stop flooding our streets with crack, heroin, and cocaine. Addicts need rehab, access to treatment beds, and a path to a drug-free life. The Prime Minister is out of touch.
The Karen minister's rage had thrown the entire opposition into an uproar, and the back and forth seemed endless. Now, it was Carrie Lynn Finley's turn to jump into the fray.
After 8 years of growing poverty and desperation, more and more Canadians are suffering with depression. Some of them are going to food banks asking for help ending their lives, not because they're sick, but because life has become so miserable and they want to end their lives altogether. This government has suggested veterans should end their lives instead of getting help that they need. And now they've announced that a year from today, they will introduce measures to end the lives of people who are depressed.
Lastly, this isn't the first time the mental health minister and the leader of the opposition have clashed. In the past, they had a fiery confrontation over the assisted dying bill.
We need to treat depression and give people hope for a better life rather than ending their life.
I think it is totally irresponsible for the Leader of the Opposition to misrepresent what this means.
The argument took a turn for the worse when Mental Health Minister Carolyn Bennett accused Poilievre of misrepresenting the government. The day wraps up with heated arguments from both sides, and the Liberals seem to struggle against Poilievre's attacks. Are we edging closer to a change in government? Let us know in the comments below.